And we are beginning the second hour of today's 2-hour broadcast. If you are just joining us, we discussed in the 4 o'clock hour the health care bill, and we were pleased to have an interview with Senator Bill Cassidy. A lot of the callers thereafter called in expressing their frustration with the interview, and their opinion was that he sounded very politician-y, dancing around the questions. They didn't seem to get the answers that they were expecting from my questions and Derek's questions, which seemed to be pretty straightforward. And, of course, we appreciate him joining us, but our callers, our listeners, rather, have certainly called with their frustration with his answers or the lack thereof. And so we decided normally on OffSidess we change subjects at 5 o'clock, but the phone lines have not stopped ringing. So there's a lot of people wanting to share their opinion about this. And I believe that now I can tell you my frustration with the entire healthcare system is, as the most recent caller pointed out, it's not just the cost of insurance. It's the cost of healthcare itself.
Absolutely.
And so it in my opinion,
included.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Prescriptions included. My whole thing is that I believe, now I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm paranoid by nature. I don't trust people in general. And that's just from my own experience. Maybe that makes me a little too cynical. I don't know. A lot of people feel that way, especially when it comes to big business and politicians. And my problem with the entire system is that the more the pharmaceuticals charge, the more the doctors charge, the more the services of the hospitals and the laboratories charge, then the more the health insurance charges us. It's this one big cycle.
And it
seems like
it snowballs.
And it snowballs. And who's right there in the middle of it? The politicians, the lobbyists, big business, pharmaceuticals. And as I pointed out, now our phone lines are already lighting up, so I would ask our callers to wait just a second. We'll get right to the phone lines. As I had pointed out, one of the things that I find very frustrating about health care and health insurance is that when you can afford health insurance, it does not even guarantee that you are going to get the coverage that you need. Let me give you an example. I have a friend of mine who injured his back, okay? And he had to go get an MRI. So he goes to get the MRI. The MRI was negative. Then his health insurance paid for it. He paid the deductible, no problem. But then the doctor wanted a second MRI that focused on a different area, okay? Because these MRIs, they don't always, so they did an MRI of one section of his back.
Sure.
So then they sent him back in for another MRI for a different section of his back. You follow me?
Right, to pinpoint.
That's exactly right. But the second MRI, the health insurance only did a partial payment of 30%.
Wow.
Okay. Now, MRIs can cost up to like $3,500.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now he's got a doctor. This guy's in pain. He's got a problem with his back. He's got his doctor saying, look, I need another MRI. And he doesn't have the money to get the second MRI. So he works out a payment plan with the company that provides the MRI for the balance after the 30%. So he does a second MRI. What does the doctor say? I need a third MRI.
Oh, no.
Okay. We haven't found the problem. I got to get you back in there and take more pictures. His health plan covered no expenses for the third MRI. So that's an example right there. That's somebody who had health insurance, making his payments, had the peace of mind of having coverage if he got sick or if he was in an accident, and it didn't help him enough. So it's not just, Obamacare. It's not just health care. It's the whole system.
Absolutely. So, and I think my opinion is something that I've heard echoed from callers here at KPEL often, is that those people who are in Congress, the politicians, whether it be Republicans, Democrats, whatever, aren't on the same level as far as the common working person, the middle-class American.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have the same financial structures.
No, they got more money and they got better coverage.
Absolutely.
So it's not their problem.
Exactly. So how can they really empathize with those people who, like your friend that you mentioned, has to pay so much money there?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay, 232-1542. Let's hear from you. Hello and welcome to OffSidess.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I want to know what in the HE double hockey sticks did we think was going to happen when the government got involved with health care? We have the perfect solution. It's called capitalism. Get the government out of the health care, and we won't have a problem. The market will take care of it.
Oh, I agree completely. Let capitalism do its job, but government also has got to stop the restrictions on this field of capitalism by allowing statewide competition. Okay,
exactly.
That's where it's going to come into play. All right, that's right. They're stopping it. All they have to do, in my opinion, now there's some people that may think that they should do more, and I can appreciate that, especially when it comes to capping the cost. I think that government should play a role in controlling the charges. They do it with gas. They do it with previous caller.
They do it with food and commodities.
That's exactly right. So why shouldn't they do it with healthcare? So they should get involved in controlling the cost, and then they open up statewide competition and let the competition, and that competition will drive the cost down.
First thing they need to do is get out of it. I mean, this Obamacare was an attempt for single-payer health care. It always was, and it always will be. It's an attempt to destroy what we had going, and it is collapsing. We're watching it. And what are the people going to want? Oh, let them come and save us again. No, they screw everything up. I don't care for them. I don't trust them. I don't trust a word they say.
I don't either.
Lied to us. They've lied to us enough. I've had it.
I have too.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for calling. Appreciate you listening. Hello and welcome to OffSidess.
Yes, so one of the big problems is everyone is confusing health care and health insurance. They say, oh, Obamacare messed up health care. No, it didn't. Obamacare messed up health insurance. The unfortunate thing is people don't want real insurance. They want someone to pay when they go to see the doctor. You shouldn't need insurance to go see the doctor. You need insurance when you have to go to the hospital.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you want payment from $1, and no, it shouldn't work that way. That's why everything is getting so expensive. If you want to fix health care, what you do is you make the doctors post payment right there on the board. This is how much it costs for an office visit. This is how much it costs for this. This is how much it costs for that. And because people don't know what their health care costs. They say, okay, you got a $20 copay, but it changes whenever you have a different insurance company and the doctor visits. You don't know what the real cost is because some insurance companies pay more, some pay less, but your copay stays generally about the same. And the doctors take different amounts of money and what that ends up is no one knows what a doctor's visit truly costs.
That makes sense.
That's a good
You're
point.
Right.
I would say that the same exists for pharmaceuticals. Nobody knows how much it costs for those medicines. You know, we had a previous caller explaining that they went to, and I experienced the exact same thing. I went to go get a prescription filled for an asthma inhaler, which obviously I need today, and it was $400. It was $400 for that. The pharmacist said, well, hold on a minute. Let me make a few phone calls, blah, blah, blah. So he changed the prescription. Hold on. He changed the prescription to another inhaler. It was $65. Basically did the exact same thing.
Well, one of the problems with health care is insurance controls what the doctor can do. So I hurt my back, and I went and got an MRI. And before I went to the MRI, the doctor said, hey, this is where the problem is. But before we can do anything, you got to go get an MRI. Well, I went and got an MRI, and it's $1,400, and my insurance company was going to pay 40%. I paid 60%. There was a problem with the billing. It got screwed up, and the insurance company didn't pay any. And they said, well, and you don't have to pay any because they screwed up the billing. And it drug on for a year, and then finally when I got the bill, the insurance company ended up paying only $10, and I had to pay $750 because that was my percent. And I said, well, why was it only, less than $800? Well, we bargained it down.
Right. Yeah, that's what happens. You can bargain down. Go to the hospital.
Right. And then,
go to
the doctor. Once she got the MRI, it was exactly where she said it was, but she couldn't do anything until I had an MRI.
Yeah.
She couldn't treat me.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that. I would think that when it comes to surgery and problems, they do need to confirm what their opinion is when it's what's going on inside of your body. But the fact that they can bargain it down, I always found to be very interesting. You go to the hospital, you go to the emergency room, you spend one day in the emergency room, you have no health insurance. Okay, that's $5,000.
Absolutely.
Okay, you're looking at an average of $5,000. You get the bill, and you go to the hospital right before it goes into collections, and you say, "Listen, I can only afford $3,200." Most of the time, they're going to take it.
Right, they'll take.
They're going to take. That's exactly right. So it's like, well, then why didn't you bill me $3,200 on the front end?
Right.
All right. Thanks for the call. We appreciate you listening.
In my situation, as far as what the caller was talking about, as far as getting government out of healthcare, in my situation, I no longer have a general practitioner right now because government was so involved between Medicaid and Medicare with its patients that his office couldn't collect the money that was owed to him through those organizations. What do you do? If they refuse to pay, what can you do? Right.
You can't do anything.
And this particular doctor picked up and left town.
Oh, that's so typical.
All
right, let's go to the phone lines. Hello, and welcome to OffSidess. Hello, caller.
Yeah, my experience with this whole healthcare debacle, I had surgery back in August of last year, and I needed to have nasal surgery, and they told me this is what it's going to cost. You go to the doctor to go across. Before they would do anything, I had to pay my percentage up front.
Wow.
They made me fork out like $800, which is my part. I'm like, okay, y'all telling me I have to have this surgery, but you won't do it until I pay you, but I don't have the money. Well, let me give you this credit card. It's Care Credit. They'll take care of it 0%. What's the point?
Right.
You're making me charge it, give me more debt. I mean, it helps nobody.
Well, to put that into perspective to everyday experiences we have, let's say you go to, a fine sit-down restaurant. You don't have to walk in with cash in your hand as you get seated. You get right. Your meal and then you pay.
Yeah, you pay. You get the services and then you pay. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. In many cases, you got to pay your share of it up front, or you won't get the services.
Right.
Yeah, what a shame.
Exactly. Walk-in clinic by our office. I walk in and go see it, and it's like, you got your health insurance? Yeah. Okay, fill out this information. They make you swipe your credit card on the iPad when you're filling it out. I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
$40 copay. Like, come on.
Yeah, they want their money before you. It's like a cover charge.
And that's whether they can help you or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a cover charge going into a nightclub. You can't get in until you pay the entry fee. But we're talking about our own health. We're talking about our bodies. We're talking about seeing doctors. You may be sick. So you go to, let's say you're really sick. You may have pneumonia. I remember one time a few years back, I thought I just had the flu. I went to one of those walk-in clinics like you just talked about, like you just mentioned a moment ago. Turns out I had pneumonia. But, what if I didn't have the money on the front end to pay them? Or I was waiting for my wife to come with my wallet or whatever the situation was. Let's say I just went in there and I didn't have the means to be able to pay my portion of it before they would see me. Well, I'm going to tell you what would happen. They would tell me to go to the hospital. Okay, they would say go to the emergency room because at the emergency room they have to take you in.
Right.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate you listening. Okay, 232-1542 if you want to join in on the conversation about healthcare. Now, one of the things that I have shared with our listeners before, and I'm going to do it again, our long-term listeners have heard this before, but every time this comes up, I want to share it with our listeners because it's my own opinion about how we can improve on healthcare. Now, hold on, caller, we're going to get right to you. You know how they have plans? They have group plans.
Sure.
Okay, all right, like right here, Town Square Media, the full-time employees, they have a group plan. They have health insurance. And you've got union plans like for teachers and such. Sure. And companies that you go to full-time, you're in part with a group plan. Now, one way that I think that they can improve on the healthcare, health insurance is to have a family plan. Okay, why couldn't you have a group, your own group? Why couldn't you form your own group and they're within your family? And it could even extend to even include your extended family, like your in-laws. And then the larger your group that you can build, now you've got health insurance companies coming trying to get your business. Just like a larger company one company that has 10 employees is not going to get the same deal as a company that has 5,000 employees.
Right.
Okay, so what would that do? That would encourage more people to have insurance under a group.
Sure.
And it would drive the cost down for that group. And it would be inviting to the health insurance companies because with one policy, they get all these people.
And it drives competition.
And it drives competition. That's exactly right. So that would be my suggestion to the health insurance industry. You need to implement a family plan. It would work just like a group. Hello, and welcome to OffSidess.
Yes, sir. In regards to everything that's going on, it's been a great discussion. You've got a lot of interesting points and callers. But one thing that hasn't come to the surface is that sometimes people point out that certain industries in the medical industry charge too much. In other words, they're greedy. I'd like to give you an example. We were unemployed. My wife had Medicare. We went in to see a doctor. He said, "Oh, that's fine. Don't worry. We could do this little procedure, and we'll accept your Medicare." And then he balance billed us. And now we have debtor collection agency on us because of that balance. He lied to us straight to our face because he's greedy. That has a lot to do with some of these doctors, not all of them.
So basically, he said
that I'd like to.
No, I just want to make sure that I understand the situation as you described it. So he said you need this procedure. You said I can't afford it. He said no problem. I'm just going to bill you for the balance. You weren't able to pay that bill, and now you got collection agencies after you.
No, it was the wife's procedure. She had Medicare, and Medicare only pays about 30%.
Okay.
And he said, "No, don't worry about the balance. We'll take care of it." Lied to our face.
You took care of it all right.
Put the collection agency on us afterwards.
Yeah, so now you're battling with the collection agency, and they're tagging your credit.
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
this has happened. This and other doctors and other facilities here took the Medicare and did not balance bill us.
Wow.
They kept their word, and it was a very expensive procedure.
Yeah. And what is your recourse? The only recourse you have is to file suit against the doctor. And what does that mean? You got to go hire a lawyer. And what does that do? It costs you money.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you had the money to hire the lawyer to sue the doctor, you might be able to just pay the bill.
Yeah, and it's his word against ours. Even when we talk to the office manager, "Oh, well, the doctor didn't tell me anything."
Wow.
I said, "Well, talk to the doctor." "Oh, we did."
Of course
he said
they did.
He didn't remember.
Man, I'm sorry that happened to you. Thanks for the call.
Yeah.
We appreciate you listening.
Thank you.
We're going to take a short break and be right back on Offsides. With our listeners, earlier in the 4 o'clock hour, we did a great interview with Bill Cassidy. However, most of our listeners didn't think it was so great. But we've got a caller that's been patiently waiting during the break.
Well, let me just add, Shannon, if you did miss that interview in the 4 o'clock hour, we will have it up sometime this evening or tomorrow morning on KPEL965.com so that you can listen to that as well.
Great. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Hello and welcome to Offsides.
Hey, guys. Yeah, good topic. I really like y'all's show in general.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's too bad, though, that this is y'all last show. I'm really sad about that.
Our last show?
But,
what do you mean?
Didn't you hear? I mean, it's all over the internet. I mean, all over social media, YouTube, the internet.
No, I don't know anything about it.
23rd. Yeah, it says they say September 23rd is the end of the world. So
yeah, that's right. Hey, listen, and caller, turn your radio down.
My radio's not on.
Oh, okay. I'm getting some feedback somewhere, but yeah, I was reading about that, and that's a scary thing. The end of the world is tomorrow. But so, what's your opinion about this whole healthcare debacle?
I agree with the other caller. I think that, today lawyers and doctors, they're not like lawyers and doctors from the past. I think in general, morals in our society has declined, and that's not just at people at the lower economic level. That's people at the top level, people that have gone to college, have degrees. There's immorality everywhere, and I think there's greed everywhere. So, yeah, I think that contributes to the problem quite a bit.
Yeah, well,
that makes sense.
It's always been my opinion that people in general, human beings in general, will get away with whatever it is that as much as they can get away with, that their conscience will allow. And we all have different levels of consciousness or what bothers us and what doesn't bother us. But as a rule, I think that people will push the envelope and get away with whatever it is that they can get away with, or at least to the point that their conscience will allow. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to Offsides.
Thank you. You know, one of the biggest issues with the health insurance, healthcare reform is the lack of tort reform. Now, every time you see these drugs advertised on TV, immediately you see something by the law firm of James Sokoloff et al. You know, this gives you diarrhea, you may be entitled to billions in damages. Until that gets resolved, especially with that, and people have some personal accountability, you know, we're never going to get anywhere. Now, when you go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes a medication, it's your responsibility and the doctor to go over the potential side effects, and you make an informed decision, the benefits of the side effects versus the damages. Assuming that the drug companies haven't lied in any of their reports, once the FDA approves a particular drug, there should have limited liability. In addition, any potential liability should be limited based on a person's income. You know, you got an electrician making $70,000 a year. Why should he get paid, $10 million, even if he can't work anymore? But again, personal responsibility should be personal accountability and make an informed decision. That's why the cost of drugs are high. That's why the cost of insurance is what it is, because they have to pay the higher cost of drugs because of the liability.
Yeah, well, malpractice insurance is an enormous expense for lawyers and for doctors, and I couldn't agree with you more. Tort reform is needed just as much as health care and health insurance reform, because all you need to file a lawsuit against somebody is a lawyer willing to do it on contingency. And then it is the other party's responsibility to come out of pocket to hire a lawyer to defend themselves. So you got a lot of lawyers out there that'll take lawsuits that are questionable, and you don't have to give them any money. They can take it on contingencies. And why do they do that? Because most of the time the insurance companies will settle with them. So they will take a very weak lawsuit, even though if it went to trial, they have a very slim chance of going and winning. But they will take these lawsuits because it's cost effective for the insurance company to settle with them as opposed to defending the lawsuit and actually fighting it in court. I'll give you a quick example. If you file a lawsuit against somebody for a medical reason or for whatever reason, and you get an attorney to take that lawsuit, and there's coverage, health insurance, or if there's liability insurance coverage for that liability, that insurance company might say, okay, well, they're suing us. It's going to cost us $50,000 to defend this. Let's offer them $20,000 for it to all go away, and we just serve $30,000 even if we go and win. And so you're absolutely right. Tort reform, I would argue, is just as important to reform as health care and health insurance.
Actually, probably more so because
yeah.
Sure, but the Congress won't do that because they're mostly attorneys anyway.
That's right. We keep hiring, we keep electing all of these lawyers, and we try to figure out why it doesn't change. That's why. Got to go to the next call, my friend. Thanks for calling. We appreciate you listening. Hello, and welcome to Offsides.
Yeah.
Yes, you're there, sir. You're on.
Yeah. I'd like you to identify one lawsuit and one lawyer by name who will take his professional time and efforts on a case that has no value, but because it's on contingency, he'll roll the dice.
Sir,
Just
I can tell you, I won't.
Instead of all of this.
All due respect, sir, let me tell you, I won't call any lawyers out here in Lafayette, okay, because this is a close-knit family, as I call Lafayette. I'm not going to do that. But I assure you, I have personally experienced that. There are many attorneys out there that will take. Wait, let me finish.
Tell you. Call me on my private line and identify them, not on the airwaves. I would love to know who they are.
Okay, because I promise you, they are out there. I've been involved in these lawsuits before. Unfortunately, having been in the bar business, there's a lot of liability exposure out there, and I have personally been involved in these exact same lawsuits where they have no merit whatsoever, and these lawyers will take these lawsuits with no intention of going to trial because they know that it's cost effective for the for the liability insurance company to settle with them the majority of the time. Hello? Okay, we lost you. That's okay. I'm sorry if I disappointed him or if I upset anybody with that terrible information, but unfortunately, this is not a fair world, and this happens a lot.
It's business. They know they can get ahead. They're going to do what they can to get ahead.
That's exactly right. We're going to take a short break on Offsides and be right back. Welcome back to Offsides, everybody. Shannon Wilkerson, joined today by Derek Albert, who is sitting in for Brandon Como. Appreciate that. We've been having a really lively conversation for 2 hours now about healthcare, and now we're talking a little bit about tort reform, health costs, healthcare costs, health insurance, and we've got people that are calling in, been patiently waiting. So let's go straight to the phone lines and see what they'd like to add to the conversation. Hello, and welcome to Offsides.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey.
You there? Okay.
Oh, I'm here.
Hey, listen, the caller previous before you went on break,
yes,
must have been a lawyer, because I'm telling you, there are lawyers that do take cases on contingency. I know for a fact because my son had a lawyer that was a legitimate case. And the thing about this is this was a hit and run lawyer. Get in, grab the money, and get out as fast as possible, because he only got a tenth of what he actually deserved. But because this lawyer came in and said, look, I can get you this and that, whatever way, he ended up settling for a tenth of what the case was actually worth. And you can leave from Jeanerette or from Highway 90 East in your Iberia to Lafayette, and you're going to see so many attorneys' billboards out there.
Hey, let me tell you.
And let me tell you, there must be 50 of them, at least.
At least. I hear you, and I'll tell you.
I'm going to tell you what, they're hitting and they're taking these cases, and like you said, what happens is they get in there because they know the insurance company is going to settle for a certain amount, and
it's
they just
business.
hit them back and forth,
It's simple business. The insurance company is going to look at it and say, all right, well, it's going to cost us $40,000 or $50,000 to go to trial and win. Okay, we can walk out of there and win, and now they can request to go after the plaintiff for attorney's fees. But if the plaintiff doesn't have the money to pay their attorney's fees, they're wasting their time. Okay, so if it's going to cost them $40,000 or $50,000 to go to court and win the case, or if they can settle it for $10,000, they just saved $30,000 or $40,000 and a lot of time. So listen, I know a lot of attorneys here in town. And I can say that many of them, the majority of the ones that I know, are very ethical. They're friends of mine. I can give you a list of some very good men. That's exactly right. And I'm telling you, the majority of all that. But all it takes, just like with doctors,
they take dozens of cases back to back to back.
That's right. That's exactly what happens.
Money off of it.
That's exactly what happens. But all it takes is a few of them to give all those good attorneys a bad name. Because I'm telling you, I've been friends with and had business with and been represented by many attorneys here in town over different situations. And I'm the majority of them, all the ones that I've worked with, very ethical, very dependable, and very professional. But there are all it takes is a few. And the caller
that's
before
with any occupation. That's with any occupation.
That's with any occupation. Now, you got bad doctors, you got bad lawyers, you got bad politicians, a lot of them. But the caller wanted me to call out some of these attorneys. I'm not going to. I certainly wouldn't do that because I wouldn't want to expose Town Square Media to any litigation. Well, and I don't want any litigation because these same attorneys may file a lawsuit against me for calling them out on the air. So
and that's unethical. That's unethical, and you know what? I praise you for that. I wouldn't call out anybody either, but I tell you what, I could give you a list of them right now.
So could I. I could tell you about lawsuits that I've had filed against me personally about things that happen on or around the property of nightclubs and bars that I owned that you would not believe. Your jaw would hit the ground if I told you the details of this case. But listen, you have a good weekend. We appreciate you calling, my friend. Hello, and welcome to Offsides. You there, caller? Hello.
Yes. I kind of joined the show a little late, but y'all were talking or mentioning the health care bill and the reform on that.
Correct. Okay.
I don't see anytime soon under President Trump's administration that this will ever get done. And that's frustrating in itself because none of these politicians that are in Washington, D.C. will ever get on that actual health care plan.
Yeah, what does that tell you?
But yet they're telling us this is what's best for America. This is what you need. But yet they will never be on that plan. They will always have their Cadillac plan, and we will always have a pickup plan.
Yeah,
it just never makes sense.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, and I couldn't agree with you more. And the fact that they are not willing to be on that plan says it all to me. If that's what's best for America, it should be what they take as well.
Around the table, everybody gets to eat at the same table.
Yep. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you listening. Hello, and welcome to Offsides.
Hey, Shane, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, doing excellent. Hey, it's a really good show today.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, for that fellow who was talking about the greedy doctor a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
He must not understand Medicare because Medicare was never intended to pay the doctor. That's for the hospital. In order to have the doctor paid, you need a Medicare supplement. And how he's managing to get by without it, I don't know, because Medicare requires that you have it. And if you don't get one on your own, they choose one for you. So, I don't understand how he's having a problem with the doctor when if he had a supplement. Maybe some way he was able to get out of not having a supplement.
And that's one point that caller brought up. There's so much subjectivity when it comes to what each patient has to pay for each doctor for each procedure. It's it should be black and white. If you have a toe lopped off, you should pay this much. If you have your nose blown out.
With Medicare, it is. When they bill Medicare has a schedule of payments of what they will pay for certain procedures.
Right.
And the doctor, they can bill you for more, but Medicare will pay only a certain amount, and then you are not responsible for the rest. If you had the supplement, your supplement will pick it up.
Right.
Now, if you don't have the supplement, that's on you because you had the choice. And most people, for instance, I have a supplement, I pay nothing. I have a zero-pay supplement, and just practically everybody qualifies for that. If you need a supplement where you have to pay it, more than likely because you take a lot of medicine and stuff.
Sure.
Now, as far as the doctors requiring you to pay up front, to pay your portion up front, I mean, it's no different. If I walk into your bar today, you don't know me from Adam, and I tell you I want to run a tab, you can say, okay, that's fine. Give me your credit card, and you can start a tab.
That's right.
You won't let me, but if I tell, no, I don't want to do that, I'll just pay you at the end of the night. You just serve me all night long until I'm ready to go. You're gonna throw me out probably because you're gonna say I must be crazy. You're not gonna trust me. You don't.
No, I'll just point you towards I'll point you towards the ATM.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go right over there.
Go to the ATM, get $100, give it to me. I'll serve you, and when you run out of the $100, well, then I'll throw you out.
Thanks for the call, my friend. Have a good weekend. Appreciate you listening. Hello, and welcome to Offsides.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call.
Hey, we only got a minute left on the broadcast, so let's hear what you have to say.
All right, look, instead of us repealing Obamacare plan, let's work on repealing the Cadillac plan. I bet everything gets fixed then.
Yeah, you mean the plan that all the politicians have?
All the politicians. Let's repeal that plan.
Yeah, I want that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You either give it to us or repeal it.
Yeah, I agree. That would be something I'd like to have somebody ask the politicians. How come we don't get the same? If you don't want to get what we have, how come we can't have what you get?
Or their retirement system.
Oh.
That's what I've said the whole time when this thing first came up. If our plan is so good, how come they're not on it?
Good point.
Yeah, an excellent point. Thanks for the call. We appreciate you listening.